Okay, so I want to make a quick video on um deatomization, reatomization technology. And I think it has to do with fear not him that cannot destroy both body and soul in hell, but fear him that can destroy both body and soul in hell. Because I know these aliens are going to come here. They must have some sort of plan to, I would assume, deatomize somebody who's on death row to showcase their technology. Because they just can't come up and say that guy over there, Anthony, we're going to deatomize him because I haven't done anything wrong. So they need to showcase their technology. So I'm proposing that they're going to come here, probably ask mankind to deatomize a couple of death row inmates, so to showcase their technology that they can destroy a body in and a soul in hell. And I want to show you what's going to happen um, when that takes place, so that you have advanced knowledge that it's not they're not destroying the entire body. The soul still exists. So when they come here and they try to televise that their power by deatomizing somebody, you have a better understanding of what's going on, so you can understand the science behind it. So let's look at this here. So okay, so for this one here, we'll look at this here. So basically, what you got here is you got two UFOs. Okay, so there's a nuclear fusion reactor there, a nuclear fusion reactor there. So I talked about this earlier, a long time ago. I'll refresh your memory though. So the nuclear fusion reactor there, when these four rings of the gyroscopic nuclear fusion reactor begin spinning. So inside that ring is another ring. That blue part is the hydrogen. So when that inner ring spins within the outer ring, um, it begins to funnel hydrogen in. So the hydrogen funnels down into this funnel part here, where it turns into plasma at the bottom. And there's a little pinhole there. As that plasma is pushed through the pinhole, it creates thrust. So it's that thrust that moves that ring inside the other ring. But plasma, because it's so hot, the only way that it can cool itself down or exit is through a microscopic black hole, which has been proven by science. They've already done it here in their experiments. So a bunch of microscopic black holes are generated inside that ring. And when that inner ring is spinning in the outer ring, it creates a ring of black hole energy. And when you start spinning those rings in a gyroscopic reactor, it creates four spheres of black hole compression energy. Each sphere adds a level of compression down on the core. And the hydrogen that flows into the core, it flows along these pipelines here. So it comes in here, and then like that, around, comes in like that. When it reaches the core, the hydrogen that's flowing into the core is compressed into a white star. So now, if I have that one here, there's this one. So that white star is producing fire electrons and earth protons. So that green one and that orange one, that's basically the hydrogen. The hydrogen is just basically one electron and one earth proton. So when the hydrogen enters the star, it's broken apart. The atom is broken down into two subatomic parts, those two parts, and they go shooting out of the nuclear fusion reactor. So in this example here, what they do is they turn the nuclear fusion reactor up here, down here, to maximum. So you have 7 levels. You have radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, that's 4, ultraviolet, X-rays, and then gamma rays. So there's 7 levels. They turn the reactor up to 7, and the reactor, or the star being produced at level 7 is giving off those two subatomic parts, electrons and protons. And they begin shooting across there, riding that wave of gamma rays. And this one's absorbing them, and this one's shooting them that way. But I theorized that they probably just use one direction. So in this case, because they want to deatomize something, they would just use this one side here, okay? So that's what you're looking at here. So basically, this would be the death row inmate. They'd probably put them on the bed here, and they'd have a TV on that particular patient, right? And then they'd turn the reactor up here to 7, produce those gamma rays. Those gamma rays would would disintegrate that person's body or deatomize it using the free radical electrons and fire electrons and earth protons to uncouple the atomic bond of that person's every atom in their body. If you're watching this on a live TV feed, you'd instantly see that body disappear. And that's what they want. They want you to think that they can destroy both body and soul in hell. What you don't know though is that the quantum subatomic components that make up an atom here, when you break apart an atom into its 4 parts, so there's electron, water neutron, air neutron, and earth proton. When those are broken apart, it looks like this. So when you have these parts here, you've deatomized an atom. And if you can break apart an atom, you basically would make something disappear in really easy to understand terminology. But just because it disappears, does that mean that it's gone? All it does is it rides a wave of gamma rays from that nuclear fusion reactor, so that person would disappear, but all those subatomic parts that compose an atom will ride that gamma wave over this way, right? So over here in this other UFO, normally what they would do is they would use laser lights here. I think I may have that picture here somewhere. Hang on. I don't know if I did or not. I got too many pictures in front of me. Not enough information. Maybe I didn't. Well, it's probably underneath here. There it is, there. So, okay, so what they would do is they would use lasers and sound frequency. So over here on the medical bed, right here, they would use lasers and sound frequency to put those atoms back together. So you would, under normal circumstances, you would see that person disappear and then come over here and be put back together using those laser lights and those frequencies up here. But because they don't want to put the person back together, they want to make it look as though they can destroy both body and soul in hell. They wouldn't do that with this prisoner or this death row inmate. So the death row inmate would disappear there, and those quantum subatomic particles would just ride a wave of gamma rays right into that reactor there, where they would get sucked into the reactor. So they'd be riding that wave of gamma rays, and then it would ride the wave right into the reactor. So it would basically go. It would hit all those rings like that, and that all those subatomic parts would hit that core there, where the white star is, and would be sucked into the white star. Or as they're traveling through, they're on their way to the core, more than likely they would get sucked in by these 4 different rings here. So you want to think of that person's subatomic parts is traveling through there, and when they're on their way to the core, they get sucked into this these black holes there. I would say that's what would happen, science, because the star, I'm not too certain if the star creates a black hole. I don't think so. It just creates a star, but the star gives off those protons and electrons. So while riding that wave to the star, these black holes that are in the rings, that's where those protons will get sucked into, protons and electrons. So every single quantum subatomic part here that makes up a person will get sucked into the reactor, into those microscopic black holes. Well, once they reach those microscopic black holes, they will go on a journey. I have this one here, so let's use. So we'll use this one here, I guess. So maybe this is a better one. It's hard to say. So from here, these microscopic black holes that are in there would connect to this gravity here. So Let's see this one. So, if they're on the planet here, this is the completed Earth. There's an invisible wave of electromagnetism that connects to that Earth's black hole. So this wave of invisible electromagnetism connects to all the stars in the galaxy, which then connects to all the galaxy supermassive black holes in the center of each galaxy. And eventually, those black holes there, they go into the other universe. So what would happen is if that UFO here was on planet Earth, those particles would get sucked into the reactor, and they would actually then get connected to the invisible wave of electromagnetism connected to our sun. So those particles of the person would then begin riding that wave there. It would bounce from, it would reach the sun, and then it would bounce from star to star to star. I had that here somewhere. Yeah, here's a good one. So the person's atomic particles are they're Earth protons, fire electrons, air neutrons, and water neutrons would ride that wave of electromagnetism to our star, and then it would bounce from star to star to star like that. That's like that person. They would bounce from black hole to black hole to black hole until they reach the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. Imagine that's Earth. They deatomize the death row inmate. The person gets sucked into the nuclear fusion reactor where it connects to Earth's gravity or invisible electromagnetic radiation, and they would ride that wave from the bottom of each star. There's a black hole, and we just bounce from star to star to star to star until it reaches that supermassive black hole. Once it reaches there, that person's the death row inmates, all those particles, they would bounce from supermassive black hole at the center of each galaxy to other galaxies. So this might be Andromeda, and this would be the one next to it. So it just bounce from galaxy to galaxy, those particles. Eventually, when they reach the elemental universe, that's where they would stop. So here, this is our universe here. So you want to think of this being Milky Way, and this is I have it named down there. Milky Way, the Triangulum, and then the Andromeda. So. But I want you to picture these being all different galaxies. So they would go from. Let's go here. So that person would bounce from our star here, and go bounce like that, and then they would go from star to star to the center of each galaxy, bounce from galaxy to galaxy to galaxy, until there's a wave here that goes to this elemental universe here. So they would come through here, and boom, it would get stuck there. So that person would either get stuck in here because it's a fire electron, and this is the elemental universe. These elements, they don't mix. In here, they don't allow fire to enter this universe. Because if a fire electron was to enter there, it would melt the ice particles that are in there, the ice comets. So because the elements cannot mix, that person's fire electron would get stuck at this edge of the universe here, and it would just be sitting here, and they would be in a state of dreaming, because in that person's fire electron is their consciousness. So over here is an example. So let's use this here. So that person that gets completely deatomized, in that fire electron there is the quark, and inside that quark's fire electron is the soul. So that soul that's inside that single particle, because it contains electricity, they would fall asleep and they'd be stuck in a state of dreaming. And because their soul rotates around the universe, and inside each universe is a black hole. This is time, and then the planets. Everything in creation exists in that one single particle there, that electron. So when they deatomize that person over here, right? Everything exists inside that one electron. There's a quark, the soul, and then space, and then time, and then earth. So all particles of creation are there inside that one little particle. So just because that person disappears does not mean that the soul is dead. They're tricking you. They're making you believe that the soul is dead, but it's not. It's right there. That little particle contains the soul. And it hasn't been destroyed. It gets sucked into the nuclear fusion reactor. And it bounces from star to star to star, galaxy to galaxy to galaxy until it reaches over here. And because it's a fire particle, it cannot enter that universe because this contains ice comets. And they don't want that fire electron coming in there because it would melt those ice comets. So it gets stuck at the wall. So when they deatomize, whoever it is that they're trying to deatomize here, don't get tricked by their smoke and mirrors, man. That person's soul exists over here and they're just sleeping. They could deatomize 100 death row inmates in front of your eyes and say, look at us, we can do that. That's why we're the bosses. But that person's consciousness is sitting over here at the wall because when it gets sucked into the nuclear fusion reactor, that particle then rides the wave of electromagnetism or gravity. Where's that one go? Whew, got too many papers here. Right here. So that's what gravity is. That wave there, that's what holds everything together. There's a wave from the moon to the planets, from the planets to the stars, and from the stars to the center of each galaxy. And then it goes into the other galaxy there. So when they claim to destroy the body and the soul, remember, they did not destroy the soul. That soul is just sitting over here at the elemental universe. That person is asleep right here. As soon as you uncouple the atomic bomb, that person would fall asleep. So they're basically, like I said, if they had 100 inmates over there, they would all be sleeping and be stuck in a state of dreaming because the electricity of their soul, here is their consciousness, is what takes them to the spirit world where they enter a state of dreaming. So that's reatomization technology 101 on how they are going to come over here and try to pretend to destroy both the body and soul in hell. Nobody can do that except me. So the plan is to wage war against, 22,000 plus evil civilizations. I think in my previous video I said like 11,200 something evil civilizations, but you got to times that by 2 because this is the Android universe and there's 11,000 planets in here, and this is the Peter Pan universe. There's 11,000 planets up there, so mankind has to deatomize 22,200 basically evil civilizations. Who claim to be, something they're not. So when these people get deatomized on their home planets, the exact same thing's gonna happen to them. They're gonna be broken down into those parts there. When we as mankind go over there and deatomize the planets of 22,000 evil civilizations, all those peoples are gonna be broken down into these parts here. The entire planet is gonna be disassembled and then reassembled. But when we reassemble it, we're not gonna reassemble the evil people. So what's gonna happen to those evil people's quantum subatomic parts? Well, just like deatomizing a person using UFO technology, those people, instead of getting sucked into the nuclear fusion reactor, well, basically, when they put the planet back together. The minus there, those particles will ride that wave there. So the planet will disappear and then be put back together, but everyone will be riding that wave like that. And they'll all ride that wave over to the elemental universe here, where every person's particles is going to get stuck at the edge of the universe there because they can't enter that part of the elemental universe because they have fire as their soul. So 242 trillion people's souls are going to end up stuck over here at this edge of this universe. So how do I bring those souls back into existence? Well, over time, as we begin to, as we have creative powers restored and more civilizations begin expanding and building more and more planets, over 1,000 years, as more and more people begin building planets around the universe, these people's souls that are over here, they're going to be, the energy that's flowing back and forth from creating these planets here, they're going to be used to like we put back into people's children that are born. So basically what will happen is that quantum subatomic part here, where is it? That part here, that person's soul, it'll be recycled back into the person that's reborn. So that person that's evil, that's asleep, stuck in a dream, when I, as the creator, and your mother, Olivia, put that particle back into a new fetus, that person's existence as an evil person who was stuck in a dream, gone forever. Because that particle gets recycled into a baby. And that baby, we use that particle there to create the baby's new soul. And we slowly, over 1,000 years, get rid of 121 trillion evil people. And that's the process to get rid of it. That's the only way you can destroy a soul and body in hell. That particle has to be reused again. So we're going to reuse it by recycling it back in to create new life. And when that happens, you destroy that person who they used to be. That's the only way you can destroy that soul particle, is to basically reuse the soul, put it back into somebody. And when that happens, that person that's there, gone. Their existence is gone forever. So I'm the only person that can do that in creation, not these guys. I'm the person you need to fear, not those guys. So remember that when they come over here, try to feed you some bullshit story about their bullshit technology and how they can deatomize a death row inmate and say, look at us, we can destroy the body and soul in hell. That's all smoke and mirrors, man, because they can't do what I just told you that I can do.